God, that is really freaking bright. What's up, Manny?
Nothing much, man. Just doing this as I'm trying to pack up my car to head to the beach after work.
Head to the beach.
Yeah, we'll be in Pismo all weekend.
Sounds fun. Sounds fun. I'm whoa. I hit the button wrong. Sorry. We're not ready for the intro yet. I got work, and then we're gonna try to go take Lucas to see the USS Wisconsin battleship museum here where I live. So
Oh, cool.
hopefully do that Saturday or Sunday. Man, four out of five ain't bad. I know the song's 2 out of 3 ain't bad, which is a great song. Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell, one of the top 10 rock and roll albums of all time. If you've never heard it, check it out. Anyways, hello everybody. Welcome to another daily cup of genre here on the Genreverse YouTube channel and Genreverse Podcast Network, available on all of your favorite podcast apps such as Google, Apple, Amazon, and yada yada. I'm Kyle. That's Manny. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button if it's something you haven't done already. Thank you very much. For those of you that have, it does help. So please do just hit it. I won't ask you to hit the notification bell, but at least hit that. And then please do hit the notification bell. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, give us a follow. Leave some feedback, guys. Positive, negative, thumbs up, down, interaction. Again, really does help us out. I think I said Kyle and Manny, maybe. You know what I should do? You and I are pretty much, set in this. I should, where on our screen, I'm going to try to point. Where on our screen you see both of our names right there. I should just have mine there and yours over there. So, anyways, yeah, we made 4 out of 5 days, which is pretty good for us recently. You just going to the beach just to go have some fun.
Yeah, we usually take this trip around this time, and also it doesn't hurt that here at home it's gonna be about 115 tomorrow. So and in Pismo it'll be 70. So yeah.
It's nice and toasty here too. Finally, it took us. We tied the record for longest time to hit our first 90-degree day. It was July 2nd, and we made July 2nd again this year before we broke 90. But now we're not getting below it. And the heat index has actually been pretty rough. It's put us into triple digits, which sucks for anyone. But anyone knows that actual triple digits dry versus triple digit heat index is vastly different. I can attest to that, having lived and worked in the desert, both in Arizona, California, both domestic deserts and abroad. I'll leave it at that. Humidity way worse. Well, there's some things that we could get into, and they're all going to be relatively Manny and I either saying "told you so" type stuff, or raging in one form or another at things we either agree or disagree with. But what do you want to start with, Manny? Do you want to talk Bobby Iger, or do you want to talk strikes?
I guess since I think Bobby Iger leads we'll start with strikes. And
okay.
I think the biggest point I want to make is, just because celebrities will not be at Comic-Con doesn't mean that you should cancel the show.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there that are like, oh well, the sky's falling, so San Diego should be canceled. And I've seen many comic creator friends and people involved in animation and things like that, people with booths and things like, okay, well, screw us, I guess. Like we're nobody, right?
Like I said, it's going to be it's going to actually become Comic-Con again. People will have to attend Comic-Con, not Hall H. There's more to the convention than Hall H and Ballroom 20 and Ballroom 6.
Well, if you tell that to everyone thinking that the show should that the The entire show should be canceled, despite
No.
the fact that there's millions and millions of dollars that have gone into putting this show together.
Yeah.
And also the
Go have
millions
fun.
millions of dollars that have been put into people making hotel reservations,
Yes.
air trips,
Yes.
dinner reservations, just whatever.
The Gaslight District needs you guys to go there
Yeah.
and eat.
Yeah,
So,
like
yeah,
it's
please,
like Kyle
please do.
said, basic thing. Go have fun. Like go
have fun.
learn about comics. Go learn about the stories,
Artists and stuff.
Yeah, go learn about the stories that inspired all these movies and TV shows. Go talk to them. Go buy their art. Go buy some original art. Buy their comics, and be a good pop culture person in that sort of way. Don't be the guy who's like, oh, just because there's no
trailers,
Yeah.
no announcements. I mean,
Yeah.
we Brian and I don't remember if Christine was at this one or not, but Brian and I at least sat in on a J. Michael Straczynski like creative writing panel, and it was a small room too. This is JMS. Hopefully those of you out there know the name. If you don't, freaking writer on Ghostbusters, Babylon 5, creator, dude wrote Murder, She Wrote and stuff like that. Ghostbusters the cartoon, the real Ghostbusters, amongst many other things. He-Man and comic books. You guys might know Silver Surfer Requiem, Spider-Man Back in Black. What was his Superman story? He did Red Sun, right? Wasn't that JMS?
Don't remember.
I can't remember, but he's done. JMS has done a lot. He held a creative writing class panel. There's so much to do within Comic-Con, and it was a small room, which made it real intimate, which was great. There's so much to do, even besides the god damn it cat.
No,
even
it was Mark
besides
Millar.
the floor. Mark Millar did that one. Okay, but JMS has written on Superman, amongst a lot of different things. You're done. Sorry, my cat is being evil, which means she's being a cat. So go enjoy the con. Just because all the actors are now, well, not all the actors, some actors are out holding signs while others are sitting on their loads of money, which I am not upset at them for having loads of money, whilst being supportive. Maybe not necessarily out there marching. Some of them are, and they are supporting each other with money. There are funds set up and things like that, which is good. But I'm wondering how much we're gonna see like a Matt Damon or a Robert Downey Jr. out there with signs and in the heat and all that. We'll see.
Some of them might surprise you. Some of them, a lot of them also.
Some might.
A lot of them also, it hurts them in a variety of ways, because Matt Damon was doing an interview the other day where he's saying, it's like, well, it doesn't just hurt me as an actor. He goes, I have a production company.
He's got a production company.
And a lot of these actors have production companies too that are starting, that are pretty young. He said, was only 3 films in.
Yep.
So I mean, doing something like this is I get it. I understand. Ooh, the millionaires, right? Like they have a lot of money. They also have a lot of money invested in films, which is how they stay rich. Like you can lose money very, very fast, because it's not like, I wouldn't ever call it gambling, of course, but you take risks in investing in films. Kind of. I mean, you're taking a risk in how a film's gonna do and whatnot, and then production costs can also go through the roof, which I don't think I've ever seen a movie that says we went under budget. I think that's like a unicorn. But to just really show how serious the situation is and how serious, and whatever, if you don't believe that it's in good faith, then whatnot. That's your opinion. But even at the premiere of Oppenheimer,
I'm sure it's in good faith.
In Oppenheimer, the actors in London were all there for the London premiere at the red carpet. By the time the movie started, they were gone. And then Christopher Nolan went on stage and said, these are wonderful people, but this is they have left because they are standing in solidarity with the rest of their group, and more power to them. The reason why this I feel for them in this case is I hope that somehow they're able to, like I said the other day, also force a way that the writers get a little bit of light, or just something as far as a push for negotiations. Although we've heard all the rumors about you know all
Let them bleed.
yeah. So we'll see how, because like it's a lie that to say you don't need the writers. You 100% need the writers, and now that everyone's out there, it puts the studios in a very, very precarious position, because it's been over 60 years that this has happened.
Yeah.
So it puts them in a very negative light with the public, and which I don't think they care.
No, because the public will want entertainment regardless. That's the thing is how much is the consumer's appetite? One, we don't. A lot of people are upset with a lot of things being produced right now, so some might not even really be bothered that much by a reduction in, say, comic book movies or sci-fi epics. Then a lot of other people, they're not as plugged in as much. They might be plugged into, say, the Real Housewives or the Kardashians, but they're not necessarily plugged into Hollywood itself. And they were discussing this on Breaking Geek today. You guys can find that here on the channel as well. They reviewed Mission Impossible, but their discussions on the strike, they crap, I just had it. What was I just saying before I mentioned their review?
Some people are not plugged in.
Yeah. So, you got a lot of people that aren't plugged in. Jammer and Jonesy were discussing, will consumers that say they're supportive of the strikes, will they stop watching content? Because if you watch something, the studio at least is going to get some sort of money from it, the residuals and ad revenue. If you buy something, if you buy a movie ticket to go see it in theaters, if you pay your subscription fee, if you buy a Blu-ray or DVD, all of that's going to support the studios a lot more than it supports the people that actually made the projects in general. Are you willing to stop consuming entertainment that is created by people within these strikes? And I don't think there's going to be anywhere near enough appetite or will for people to do that, for it to hurt the studios. Because while, again, it doesn't matter how much you pay Zaslav, it doesn't matter how much you pay Iger in general, when the companies are both, one, hurting on certain studio aspects. Streaming, we know, is in the red for pretty much everyone. Studios losing money. The Flash looks, like I said, well over 100 million. It's going to be over 200 million, it looks like, or pushing to 200 million for the Flash to lose. Like, things are not great. And even if you took all of the C-suite money, you're still not going to cover that gap. Could you see a C-suite reduce in pay and see some pennies go up for everyone underneath? Sure, possibly. There's 160,000 some odd members of the Screen Actors Guild, if I'm not mistaken. Money, guys, it can only go and stretch so far. That's why I always say it's a more nuanced thing than just pointing out an executive's pay. Not to say, I'm not saying that they shouldn't or couldn't take a cut in pay, though. They won't. I am saying that they won't.
Well, it's not just that they're fighting for. It's not just the money. It's also the use of
the AI stuff. The AI is a big thing, and we'll get into that. But I did want to bring up that question to you. Would you be willing, because you do have friends and whatnot in the industry and know people, are you willing to stop watching things, cancel subscriptions, if there was a movement to do that, to hurt the studios to get them to the table sooner? Would you do that?
Well, the thing is, it's not our consumer responsibility to do that. It's not up to us. The content is already out there, and to some degree, some of my subscriptions are already paid for.
Hmm.
in the long run. Some of them I don't pay for. So I mean, it really doesn't. If unless you're gonna get like an entire nation to do it, I don't think it's really gonna make a difference. And if anything, with network shows and things like that, people are especially just regular TV, people are still going to get paid because that's something in the past. That's
Hmm.
not something that's necessarily. I can see how maybe it would hurt in the box office, but at the same time, like why would I want to hurt a project like Blue Beetle, which I vehemently support and I want it to do well, um, just because because of this, I don't think it has. I don't think it has a good effect. Regardless,
Sounds sound to me.
it's it's just a really bad situation, and we will see the repercussions of it in the next coming months, especially in the fall season, the TV fall season, um, when we're supposed to have new shows and things like that. They're saying that a lot of projects, Deadpool, for example, is going to have to be pushed back
Hmm.
because they'd have to stop filming. I
Hmm.
know Beetlejuice 2 was already filming. I know, and
And locations can only be booked for so long, held for so long, and
yeah.
then depending on the type of movie you're shooting, the location might be weather dependent. So even if the strike
Oh
comes
yeah.
back, you may have missed your filming window, or the next opening schedule is way later than what you were hoping for. Yeah, man, there's
I,
a lot of
I'm
things
very
that
curious about
go
some of
into
those
it.
location things that you're talking about because, like, for example, you have this giant
That
set
hurts locals.
somewhere in London or
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
in some random location where you've set
Just
up this
sitting
giant
there,
thing. Like, does it just sit there, or do you still have
just
to, or
sits
do you
there.
have to
You have to
pay
maintain
for
it.
it? You have to
You,
maintain it, security and all that
mm-hmm.
stuff.
Security,
So how
rent,
much is yeah?
land rent, and
Hmm.
all of that. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
what happens to all that? Like, do you
And
have
if
to?
you tear it down, you gotta store it somewhere. If you tear the
Yeah.
sets down, you're not gonna want to rebuild everything. So you're gonna cart off things and try to Lego piece it, de-piece it, so you can store it and put it. Yeah, man, there's a whole lot that goes into that. And the other thing for the studios, before we get into the AI discussion on the content side, is something that I've pointed out is the multiple streams that a lot of the umbrella companies have. While Disney, while Lucasfilm and Marvel and all the individual studios, and you got the overhead of Disney. Disney has their sports, their theme parks, their merchandise, all of that. There are other entertainment revenue streams that aren't beholden to the Writers Guild of America
Yeah.
and SAG-AFTRA. You have, for example, House of the Dragon can apparently continue to film because most of its actors belong to a British thing that aren't even legally allowed to strike with SAG-AFTRA. You have anime, and you have studios that are going to be purchasing not just more anime, but more foreign produced content in general, whether that's K dramas or J comedies or European horror, whatever the case may be. There's stuff out there to license, and yeah, like Manny said, if you do strike against or boycott against something that is coming out, things that are, you're hurting the people that are on the picket lines right now in a way. So it's very iffy. On the AI front, Manny, this is one that I kind of dabble in AI. I think it's a AI art generation specifically, and a little bit on voice, but I haven't done anything with the voice. I've just literally played with it. On the AI art generation, our mascot for Anime Versal Reviews, Ayame, she was I don't want to say prototyped. What's the word I'm looking for? That, like, conceptualized. I used AI generative art to
Like
create a
concept
concept
art.
of the character. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Create a concept of it, and then I hired an artist to help bring her to life with that concept, my input, and their artistic. And I think AI generation is a great tool for things like that, especially for people with no artistic talent like myself, to be able to get an idea on a page and then work with an artist. Uh, But man, the idea of saying, hey, you want to be a background actor? Let's pay you one time. Let's scan you, and then we can use you unlimited, and you'll never get paid again. No, I'm a greedy capitalist pig, and trust me, that idea appeals a lot to that part of me. However, I believe in good form capitalism. I don't believe in hurting people. That's pretty freaking shitty. It is a serious thing. The other thing that I like that Jonesy did point out on Breaking Geek again, though, is that the idea that the studios are going to say 100% no AI, give that to writers and actors, that's, you guys got to give that up.
Yeah,
AI is here. Even if it's for things like camera tracking, even if it's things for audio editing and there's so many things that AI can be used for that doesn't necessarily hurt writers or actors, but could, like that foot in the door. But no matter what, there's just too much money to be saved really using it for it to be an outright ban. And even on the actor side, because you think about deep fakes, de-aging, you think about bringing older actors in, like Mark Hamill, to do Luke Skywalker stuff. All of that requires some AI assistance, and I don't know if anyone would really say, oh, I don't like the use of AI for de-aging. I want to see traditional CGI for de-aging. I don't know anyone says that.
Oh, again, I hate deepfakes so much. Absolutely despise them.
Well, I'm not the use of it, sure, but I'm saying, like, if you had to look at two images, say CGI de-aging from 10 years ago or the AI generative deepfake today, it obviously looks better today.
It looks better.
That's my only point.
And I have to agree with you, because it's not just the entertainment business. AI is taking over a number of industries, all of them actually, because it's being used in medical fields, it's being used in other consumer ways.
FAA is looking to use it for tracking weather and better managing flights across the nation.
California has a new system now where AI is able to using a number, I think it's over 1,000 cameras around the state, able to track wildfires a lot faster than it would.
Traffic patterns are going to be starting to are already starting. You're starting to see AI assisted traffic lights that not only rely on the sensors in the ground or cameras to detect when cars are there, but actually are able to look at, okay, on Mondays and Fridays, this traffic here is worse than it is any other days of the week. We need to shave off 2 seconds on this light, 3 seconds on that light, and it'll work better. It's here to stay, and it's only going to grow. You know,
all that to say that that just because you don't want it, there's going to have to be concessions made. Mm-hmm. That is a reality, because in every industry, AI is here to stay, and in every industry, it is taking jobs. But in a way, it's also creating jobs, because there's going to be a lot of people that need to know how to work with AI.
Yeah.
And that's an industry
train the models, make the models.
Yeah, and maintaining them and things like that. So it's just the progression of civilization. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
Because and there's just nothing. I mean, it's just life. What are you gonna do? So
nothing really you can.
So but the way that they want to do that, where it's like it's really that Black Mirror episode of where they just have everyone stored on file. It's crazy to think how the concept is actually kind of real. Very, very.
All the Marvel and Star Wars guys are on file. Their voices, their faces, all of that. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Disney really, in the way that they continuously exploit older characters to bring them back, instead of trying to make continue on forward with new ideas. No, we have to de-age Indiana Jones. We have to de-age Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker. We have to bring back Princess Leia and what's his name, Tarkin. we have to bring up
Peter Cushing's character.
Yeah,
we have to bring back Harold Ramis.
It's like you don't. It's like just move on. Move.
Yes,
You don't
move
need
on.
them.
Let the past die.
But they believe that everyone has a hard on for just nostalgia, which to some degree
they do.
They do. But that bubble's starting to burst very quickly.
We'll see. You mentioned we've mentioned Disney, and earlier we mentioned Bobby Iger. You guys, I wish I had the patience to go back through all of the daily cogs, LR mornings, even some Los fanboys from like 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. I have been personally screaming about the unsustainability of streaming as we know it and as it was planned to become leading into 2019, 2020 with the launches of things like Disney Plus and Max, Paramount Plus, yada, 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 yada. Manny has also been there to speak similarly on a lot of things ever since he started helping out on LR Mornings, and he and I do Daily Cog, and he became the permanent co-host and all of that. It's too much. You don't make enough money. You need constant new content to keep the subscribers. Otherwise, they only stay subscribed when there's a show on that they want to watch. It's a giant pool of money that has to be shared amongst an even more giant pool of projects, versus each project getting to prove its worth and value on its ability to make its money, its budget back on its own. It doesn't work. And in order to keep people invested, you need more content. If you ask for too much content, it gets watered down. We've been complaining about Marvel feeling watered down. We were all about 2019 San Diego Comic-Con. Oh my God, 4 movies, 2 or 3 shows a year. Yes, please give us more. And then we saw what it did, and we were like, okay, stop. And then they didn't stop. And now Bobby Iger is out there saying basically everything Manny and I have been saying for years, including the idea that having too much content diluted their workers and ended up diluting people's enthusiasm for the series, mentioning disappointments, mentioning how there have been some disappointments. We would have liked to seen some of our more recent releases to perform better, saying that it's not a personal, it's reflective not as a problem from a personal perspective, but I think in our zeal to basically grow our content significantly to serve mostly our streaming offerings. Duh. And to the people that think Iger is here to fix everything, let me remind you something. Disney Plus was conceived under Iger's tutelage. Iger was the one that wanted one Star Wars movie a year and refused to give the sequel trilogy breathing room when it was obvious that there were issues. Iger is also responsible for the increase in content, not to the extent of Chapek, and not necessarily would he have been as aggressive as Chapek was, but it's still partially under him. So this idea that he's just some savior for Disney, I think people forget he's got a hand in all of this too. But how does it feel to be so right, Manny, about something so terrible?
It's actually really frustrating because we've been screaming about it for so long, and we're the crazy people with tinfoil hats. But
streaming will work. It'll work.
But Iger says at one time, and everyone was like, well, yeah, he has a point. I'm like, well, you know what? F him and all of you. Because Kyle and I have been screaming about this for years. And for the most part, people are there's so many apologists that are like, oh, the She-Hulk was so good, and this other project was so good, and whatever. It's like it was not, and it
Nope.
was not. And then what do they do every year at Comic-Con or at I was gonna call it LucasCon, Star Wars Celebration or whatever? Here's the 800 projects we have coming up, and it's like you can't even make one work. Why are you doing 800?
Yeah. It might be good that Kathleen Kennedy can't get any Star Wars projects actually across the finish line, because Marvel did, and most of them have been trashed since Phase 3. So
they have, and I think my biggest one of the questions that I kind of drew up in my own head is, would Phase 5 be able to produce a Thanos in the same detail that they did in Infinity Saga, as far as CG, as far as that level of character? Would they be able to do that? Would they be, because even the Hulk, we've seen that the Hulk has taken a regression, and that's that they already have all that stuff on file. That's the
only reason he looked better than She-Hulk, than Jennifer did himself, was that so much of the model, the texture, all that was already done. But you're absolutely right. Look, just like the giant pool of money having to be shared amongst more projects, especially gaming subscription services. Yeah, you guys are in for a world of hurt with that one, gamers, or we are. I play mostly old stuff, so maybe not me. But the workload, there's a huge workload when you increase the production projects, and if you don't scale up your crew and your staff, especially for effects and sound design and all those little pieces and stuff like that, if you don't scale that up, it's a lot of work to go down, and that's where you get shitty looking effects. And then you add on the crunch time, and Marvel's alleged, from what we hear from former artists and stuff that worked for them, Marvel's big deal with last minute changes and requesting ridiculously large changes late in the game. You add all that together and you get shit. And Disney's not the only ones. I've mentioned CGI, especially recently, with the Flash. Everybody except Avatar, everybody is starting to really look rough. And the idea that it'll be fixed in after the trailers are no, guys, no. Think about it. How much bad CGI made it from trailer to screen in the last three years? It's a lot.
No, yeah. So overall, all the stuff he's saying, it's like you said, no freaking duh. It's unsustainable, and it has completely watered down the content. I mean, I think, what was it? Through Phase 1 and 3, the Infinity Saga, we had epic movies throughout over 10 years. I think it totaled up to 19 projects, I think.
Yeah. Going through Far From Home. Yeah.
And for just but by the end of the first phase, we had set up the Avengers. Mm-hmm. We had our star players. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about star power, because Chris Evans, not necessarily, he became a household name.
Yeah.
There
because of this. Yeah.
And then you had like Sebastian Stan, you had Scarlett Johansson, fairly popular too, but not Black Widow status. Mark Ruffalo, definitely. And I mean, Robert
biggest name being Downey and Jackson.
Yeah. And then also Chris Hemsworth is another one. But what do? They took their time to really let you get to know these characters and let them each had big moments in big films that actually mattered, that all had an obvious kind of connection, which I'm not saying you need to necessarily, it's not to dumb it down, but here's the core reason why it matters. Mm-hmm. You just watch this entire, like, even Guardians like was very much a thing of its own, and yes, it did have one of the Infinity Stones and everything, whatnot, but at the end we saw a bit of Thanos, we saw why it mattered. In the end of the Avengers, we saw a bit, we saw why it mattered. And now what do? They tease whatever next show is coming. Oh my god! They
crap.
Tell me how Multiverse of Madness connects to anything based on those final few moments with Charlotte Theron.
And then you have the moment. You have Quantum Mania, where you could have easily been like, oh, some of this tech is King stuff, and some of this shit's connected to quantums, and nothing. Now they could do it later, but I'll never believe it was all part of the plan. If they do it later, you've completely screwed it over, and it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Tell me where. None of it got set up in the only movie the only movie or project that showcased any type of tease to this connection to this big thing was Loki.
Yeah.
And that was
Loki and Quantumania having Kang in them, but
but I think Loki more than anything showcased the dangers of multiverse and then did showcase Kang, so like it did actually do a pretty good job at showing why it mattered. Worlds were being destroyed, some were being saved, etc., etc.
And allegedly more is coming. I mentioned this not really a spoiler, but there's a multiversal effect in the Marvels. But again, it's like now that will be the third movie into Phase 5.
Yeah.
Before we actually start seeing again some guys, that is just too much.
And at this point, do we care?
No,
that's really
I don't.
what it comes out to, because Secret Invasion right now is starting to annoy me. It has turned into a snooze fest. They have some really good moments in there, but the last couple episodes I've fallen asleep in both of them.
Yeah, I heard, and no spoilers, but I heard the big reveal for this week, and I saw what it was. I heard it's not going over as well as some people want, for the same exact reason that the Secret Invasion comics didn't go over as well, which is the who and the when. And you know what I'm talking about if you've seen this or if you've read the comics. You know the who's and the whens. Certain things happen, certain switches happen. We know that those matter, and for the same reason people were just like fed up, besides the poor writing on the comics. It seems to be similar for the show now. I hate not liking it. I want to so damn bad.
No, yeah, that's the thing, is that we really do want to like them, but you're giving us this watered down content that's really just produced very, very quickly by overworked animators, and then you're also telling me, oh yeah, we're gonna do a series on Agatha, we're gonna do a series on Echo, we're gonna do a series on Ironheart, we're gonna do and it's like, wait a minute. We don't need any of these things. Can you just take all of the budget for these 3 projects and make one quality, cohesive? No, because we need to fill Disney Plus with more content. Why? Because you're making other things on Disney Plus that now you're taking away only a month or 2 after you release it, never to be seen again.
And that's the other thing is almost like, because I can hear people like Janet saying, oh, well, they took time to build up through Phase 1 and part of Phase 2. Why aren't you giving them time to do that now? Because we're not in a Phase 1 or Phase 2. Even if it's the Phase 1, Phase 2 of a new saga, you've got enough connective tissue. You've got enough things that you've already established, enough characters and stuff that we should have already been rolling into the next threat like we do in comics. We don't need this reset. And when you pump the brakes after the Infinity Saga to slowly introduce a bunch of stuff, if you're gonna do it that way, you better hope that you make good content that gets people invested in those characters. But here's the simple fact: your Phase 4 started off with things like Black Widow, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki, all of those coming up pretty close together, and they ranged from lukewarm to some hating it and very few loving it all, even though I did like most of WandaVision. You didn't carry forward. You then hit another brick wall with things like Miss Marvel and She-Hulk and some of the newer characters that you're trying to introduce. You get mediocrity and things like Multiverse of Madness. You get nothing but nostalgia for Sony stuff that you're not even going to be able to use again much, if at all, for MCU proper with No Way Home. And you've got this whole slew of new characters that you've had to push back so you can introduce all this other stuff. You've got Echo and Agatha, like you said. They just did it dumb, trying to fill up Disney Plus. A lot of this because the MCU is so already established. A lot of these new projects should have been teams and duos and trios to introduce some of these other characters, instead of, because we've we're already rolling, guys. We're already roll. We don't need to slow. We don't need to slow it down all over again. And here's the sad thing, man. I honestly don't know. I mean, they're coming one way or another. I just don't know if it'll be worth it to see the MCU's X-Men, which sucks
Oh no,
because
I agree with you.
I was
Yeah.
I was a hashtag give the fucking rights back to Marvel for the X-Men and Spider-Man for the longest. I have no affinity for the Foxmen. I hate seeing it. Whatever. I don't care. It's freaking stupid that all these this love for something that people freaking hated 10, 15 years ago. Hated it. Oh my god, I don't understand. We already had 9 Wolverine movies. Why do we need yet another one? The suit looks dope though. Suit looks dope.
It's nice to see the suit.
The
and
suit looks great.
And I'm hoping that the concept is Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, which
It
in this
is.
case would be
It
the
is.
the
Fox
so
universe.
that's I was like, you know what, I can get behind that. But back to the point at hand is and we're not saying that the Infinity Saga didn't have its duds. A lot of people didn't like Iron Man 2. I thought it was okay.
I don't like Iron Man 3 at all.
I hated Iron Man. Oh my! I almost walked out of the theater when the Mandarin was a fake. I was so mad.
Captain Marvel is
Captain Marvel was
not the worst.
When the cat was the superstar of the entire thing. That was a Nick Fury movie, and if it would have been marketed that way, sure, I didn't mind. I wouldn't have mind. Dark World was another one. I personally hated. It worked for what they were doing, but I hated the characterization of Ultron as a jokester and as somebody with personality, because of the fact of how I grew up with an Ultron that was just absolutely ruthless. Just a machine in all its sense. So there's all that. But you had enough stories in between there and things happening in those movies that still gave you a reason as to what was going on. I mean, Iron Man 2, he was dealing with himself and trying to save himself from himself.
They were so scared to do Demon in a Bottle. That was sad. They were so scared to make him just a raging alcoholic.
Well, they got close though.
Close.
And so by the end of the first set of films, you have the Avengers where everybody came together and defeated Loki. By the end of the second part, everybody came together, defeated Ultron. Finally, we get to the end bit. Everyone comes together and defeats Thanos. In that entire span, we had your core characters. We added characters after Ultron, Wanda, and we added Black Panther, and after that, and then we added Winter Soldier, and we added the Guardians. And finally, we get to that moment at the very Captain Marvel in the last few bits. We get to the final battle. Everyone mattered because it was a progression of building characters and worlds, and why it mattered that half of them would be eliminated. If Thanos eliminated this current phase of Marvel, nobody would care. You would not care. And then and honestly, their biggest mistake.
They got Billy and what's his name from WandaVision. No,
and you're like, who? Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, and their biggest mistake was starting with Black Widow because you regressed. That movie should have gone before.
Yep.
Because it really would have made that one moment where she sacrificed herself that much.
They should have introduced Captain Marvel in Endgame, where she comes in and destroys that, and you only needed like Rocket to know who the hell she was. That's all you needed, was Rocket to be a freaking Danvers. Is that you? Like that's all you would need. Introduce her there. She gets a big moment, and then you do her movie after.
Yeah, because
Black Widow should have came between Infinity and Endgame.
Yeah, now you're now you're very, very excited to see that, and she is now your core piece for the multiverse, and it sets up things like Miss Marvel, and it sets up things like the Marvels. But in between there, now we can start adding other pieces, adding Shang-Chi. Let's add let's develop now the new Falcon as the Captain America, and add pieces where he's going to need to maybe go out and be the Fury, because he's trying to deal with Secret Invasion and recruit other characters like a Moon Knight, or like a She-Hulk or something like that. But
Yeah.
but let's build forward. Let's try to do that. But no, we didn't. We just here's Black Widow, here's Shang-Chi, which by the way you won't hear about
Ever again.
Here's Moon Knight, here's
which sucks. Shang-Chi was the best Phase 4 movie.
It was very, very, very well done. Here's and so that's what they did. And what do we have now? We really don't have anything. All because you wanted to rush and get all these little stupid projects out to satisfy your streaming service.
And it didn't work, and I told you it wouldn't. Disney,
we said it all the time that it wasn't going to work.
Disney, I tell you what, look, guys, I do have brain injury. I have narcolepsy and I have memory issues, so I am not going to be the I'm going to need someone to keep keep books for me or notes for me or something like that. But you can clearly see, and you can go back and look at the history here on the Genreverse YouTube channel, that I know what the I'm talking about. I really truly do, and so does Manny. So I am willing to come and work for you guys. I'm willing to come and give you guys, what's the word I'm looking for? It starts with a C. Counsel. I'm willing to counsel you guys. Well, that one too. I'm willing to come with you so long as you bring Manny and I both on, and we will work for severely reduced pay compared to the people you're paying right now that have lost you money. I mean, I'll take what, a tenth of a chief's pay. I mean, I'd take a tenth of like $20 million, wouldn't you? Give me 100,000. Give me 100,000. I'll come and work for you guys. Like right now, I will tell you everything you're doing wrong for a fraction of the money someone's charging you to tell you what you're doing wrong and getting it wrong themselves. My God, it's business 101. Like it doesn't work. You cannot give more and take less money for more shit. It doesn't work that way. And to the consumers that think it does, no, it doesn't. Are you happy with your I'm gonna wait until streaming, I'm not buying physical media, I'm never going to the theaters again?
Yeah. And then they're it's very,
now let's do the same to gaming. Yay. Sorry. Go ahead, Manny.
No, it's crappy, but what are you gonna do? It's the way that they think that, and you know who's got it's funny because you know who's got it right is really the I guess you can call him the king of them all is still Netflix.
I mean they've done better. They still ran Red for a long time, but
they ran Red knowing that they would run Red. That is, I think that's one difference, is that they were like, we're gonna buy all this stuff up, and we are not gonna look good for a lot of years. And which, to be fair, Disney did the same thing, except they got really, I think they're just their mouse head's too big, and almost thought they're too big to fail. I mean, even Disneyland is suffering now because their numbers are down because other parks are coming up with more creative and different experiences. Hence, like Universal right now. Hell, Universal in Florida have the Velocicoaster now and things like that. Universal Hollywood. And I think also in Orlando, I'm not sure.
Orlando's got a Velocicoaster. I can't wait to ride it.
I mean, Orlando, I don't know if they have. Do they have a Super Mario World in Orlando?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
We're
Well, I
we're
mean,
getting the full one. We get the Donkey Kong and all that. By we, I mean east side of the
oh,
states.
okay.
So we get the full one.
Oh, okay. Well, we're getting a well, just announced was Hollywood's also getting a Fast and the Furious coaster,
Yeah, yeah.
and things like that. So, like, everyone's really catching up to supposedly that magic that Disney had, and it's interesting to see because I think that idea of too big to fail is finally catching up to them, and you can
We'll
see
be
it. You can see it with their stupid galactic
Star Cruiser.
Star Cruiser,
Yeah.
where they really thought they could charge people $5,000 to sleep on a bunk bed and go to the just the Star Wars part of the park for part of the day, and to eat in a cafeteria. I mean, it's to the point where they had to close. I mean, I wonder how much they lost in that, and in all that they invested in it, and and I mean they honestly ruined their entire animation division
Mm-hmm.
by watering down their films in a way that by releasing Pixar films on streaming continuously the last few years, and I understand that a couple of them was in COVID, but then some of them weren't. By continuously doing that, you made a film like Elemental feel like it was not important anymore, and like you can just wait to see it. When if that would have came out in 2019, 2018 before, it would have been a big deal. Pixar films were always a big deal. But
Go ahead. No, keep going. You're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
But because of the fact that you've told the consumer that a Pixar film is now a Disney Plus film, you watered down the importance of the film, of the event, and it's not really fair to all the people who worked really, really hard on it, because I mean, look at the line of films that they've done and look at their work to says that, yeah, their films matter. And to say that, to put it, and that's another thing Iger had talked about, and it was like, no freaking duh, dude. We told you all of this, and you're admitting it all now. It's just, again, at the end of the day, Kyle and I are the ones with the tinfoil hat. We don't know what we're talking about, but one rich person says it, and it makes it lore.
I'm telling you guys, I don't need a lot. I am a greedy, selfish, capitalist pig, but I believe in doing it in good form. Something before we wrap up, I want to show. Manny won't be able to see this, but those of you watching on YouTube can. I'll explain it the best way that I can. I'm showing a from Statista. I don't know how to pronounce the damn website. It's the statistics website everyone uses. And it shows Netflix's profitability through the years, and you see that it ran in the red for a bit, and then you see that it has very slim profits that slowly grew up until about 2011, where they took dramatic drops, and they had a roller coaster ride for several years after. Even though, and now I'm showing something from Business Model Analyst, even though their revenue increased, their overall profits did not. Why? Because they started spending money. See, Netflix used to just license things. Yeah. They weren't spending money on productions. And when you started getting the Marvel Netflix stuff, more of their own things, Stranger Things, they started having to spend more money. So even though their revenue was up, their profits were a relative mess. Netflix has gotten back into licensing a hell of a lot more stuff. Instead of making the movies, someone else makes the movie. They just license it. And that has seen their profits increase again. Disney, on the other hand, did what? They had to produce it themselves and then put it on the streaming service, and they didn't make enough money back.
And it's interesting because Disney is this really unique brand that can't necessarily share things. If you look at like the Harry Potter series, for example, it jumps from Peacock to HBO Max every now and then you see certain projects go from different streaming services here and there. Disney can't do that. If it's not one of their products, They're not putting it on their streaming service.
Not at least not with
they're not licensed.
ones.
They're not licensing Sony products. And that's kind of the really cool thing about Netflix still, is that they just go, oh, Sony, like you're doing what are you doing? Oh yeah,
we'll take that. Yeah, sure, bring it on. Bring it on over.
Oh, you guys are dropping this over here. Oh, well, bring it over here.
Bring it on home to me.
Oh, you do it over here. Oh yeah, bring it over here. That's and so they're not worried about waiting for that next Marvel series, or having to stress about, well, why do you think that they can push? Do you think Disney would have the ability to push Stranger Things back as much as Netflix does?
Nah.
They would be.
They wouldn't have the self-control to do that.
Yeah, that's true. Meanwhile, Netflix is like, hey, you remember that really cool Bird Box thing that they did? Well, there's an international version of it. Here you go. You know that show Money Heist that you really liked? Here's another version of that show you liked. Squid Games, you really like that? We did this like kind of cool reality show about it. And by the way, all the stuff that we're gonna give you, you're only getting half of it, and then you'll get half of the rest of it next month. So it works. It's a model that works, and it's and I know. And what's funny about it is that Disney does have the ability to have one app because of Hulu.
Yeah,
which is why they're gonna come. They're combining it at the end of the year, because you have. But they were so worried about being the Mickey Mouse, family brand.
Family.
It's like,
family
no, man, just screw it all and put it all together. Even Hulu seems to have a better grip on like adult animation, and with Hulumation that they're doing now. And you look at all the shows that they have, and you're like, I like that, because what are they doing? Bob's Burgers, American Dad, Family Guy, Simpsons, Archer, the other show that's like Rick and Morty that's made by the same guys. I forgot what it's called, but I really like it.
Solar
Opposites,
which is hilarious.
I love that show. Just in that alone. And then they're like, oh, we're also going to be licensing the next something about Bleach. We're also also have this other stuff. So yeah. And if you want to watch Mayans, American Horror Story, you want to watch The Bear, you want to watch all this stuff that we have on network TV, but then also we're going to stream the next day on Hulu. It's all here, guys.
What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows, another one, which season just dropped yesterday. They're like, how do you get it so right on one side, and then on your other app you have no idea what you're doing? Just combine the damn things, and
they will.
And I know, but what I'm saying is they really dropped the ball. Hell, even HBO Max, like, they don't necessarily have as much content going in, but besides The Idol, which is I don't know who greenlit that, but it was absolute trash. Look at how many Emmys that they've deservingly are nominated for White Lotus, for The Last of Us, for Succession.
Lizzo gets an Emmy nomination for her outstanding work on Star Wars, I heard.
I didn't hear that, and that would be that would be a travesty. That was horrible. What they do is that they at least give you very good quality stuff that that it's going to be good, besides The Idol, which really confuses me, because you have all these like critically acclaimed shows, and then you have The Idol, which was supposed to be very good with The Weeknd, and it just ended up being absolute trash. It's just interesting, because they're supposed to be. We always hold Disney on such a high, not we, but I mean in general, Disney's held on such a high pedestal for supposedly being a top dog, and yet they're really going forward right now like a baby giraffe.
Okay, she only got one for her own stage thing, her own music thing. I don't know who said Star Wars. Like I said, I wanted to double check because I didn't believe it at first, but it would have been believable. But yeah, no, just her music thing. Anyways, yeah. Well, it was a great conversation, hour-long show. Sorry about that, guys, but there's a lot to discuss, and like I said, there's some companion points of view over on Breaking Geek Radio here on the Genreverse Podcast Network and Genreverse YouTube channel, which you guys should definitely be subscribed too. You can see all the great content that we have available for you guys: anime and trailer reactions, movie and television reviews, vlog and stuff from and panel from Anime Expo. Lots of great content. There's a look at Spotify, but we're on all the popular podcast apps. Manny, holy shit, this is episode 266 of the Daily Cup of Genre. We are fast approaching 300 episodes of that, and you guys can find all of this stuff and more, including written news articles, written reviews, celebrity interviews from the LRM YouTube channel, all on lrmonline.com. Manny, final words for the weekend.
Hydrate, and if you're in the Northeast, watch out for tornadoes, specifically Chicago.
That's not the Northeast.
No,
That's
Midwest.
The Midwest.
That's Midwest. I don't know, man.
Oh my. Bye.